Yeah, Alien Storm. Bit of 90s awesomeness for you on the Megadrive. Pick one of 3 invisible characters. This bodes well for the rest of the video. I think that's probably a Fraps issue there. So here we go, level 1. So this is Alien Storm. Kind of a Golden Axe style game really, with a lot of influence of Alien Syndrome in there as well, mostly from the enemy designs. Came out in the arcades in about '89, made its way to the home machines in 1991. Got it set on the title screen, didn't it? And it found its way to my house a year or two later, and forever earned itself a place in my heart. Played this game a lot when I was a kid, knew it absolutely like the back of my hand. It's taken a week or so to remember it all, but it all came back pretty quick. Now this first level isn't on the arcade game. They rearranged a lot of the levels when they brought it to the home machines. But they kept the basic game structure pretty much the same. So I'm working my way to the end of the level to this big barn here. Once I've taken care of these 2 big guys, I'll be heading in there. There we go. And so we're going here for the first gallery shooter segment of the game. There's one of these at the end of most levels. If not, there's usually a run and gun section instead. So just waggling around, shooting everything, getting the energy pickups and stuff. Kind of fighting with the controls, because I'm using an old worn out Xbox pad to play this. No excuses though. So after defeating all the aliens in the barn, we head back out into the street again. Again, this is another level that doesn't appear in the arcade. You run through this in one of the running sections, but you don't actually. It doesn't take place as a full level. So fighting little red aliens now. As you can see, they're colour coded, like in most games of the time. Red ones are slightly harder than the green ones. And then we see a different shade of these big fellas as well. Less marginally hard too. And these are my favourite enemies in the game. These little aliens that live under the bins and in the mailboxes. They're really great. They look a lot more threatening in the arcade version. They look kind of silly and cute on the console. Now, just drop a bomb here to clear these guys out, because we're approaching the first boss battle in the game. And here it is. Here's the boss. Big, funny slug thing with an old crone's face. Just gotta keep going backwards and forwards around it to avoid the lightning bolts and whatever funny things it fires out of its face as well. Not a difficult boss, just kind of a chore. So after a while of circling around it and shooting it at the backside, you finally destroy it and it drops these funny little fly things and you get some energy from those. And then we're off to the first running section of the game. So in these segments you run along an implausibly fast pace, shooting the aliens as they appear on the road in front of you. Not really much more to say about them, to be honest. You just run and you gun. Stage 3 is one that does appear in the arcade. I think it's level 2 in the arcade version. We get introduced to a new enemy type here, these funny flying guys with the massive hands. They'll pick you up and smash you into the floor given half a chance, so you want to keep those out of arm's reach, so to speak. This level follows the same format as the first one. Just fight your way through to the end to get to the gallery shooter section. We get introduced to a new variety of bin monster as well in this level. The green ones are a bit harder, but still not much of a threat. But we actually get 2 versions of the flying dudes. We get the blue ones and the red ones. think the blue ones take a few more hits to take out. So you see I'm diving backwards and forwards just to stop myself getting surrounded by them. And into the convenience store. Same as last time. But this time there's civilians, and if you hit those you will lose health, so you need to avoid those guys. Now this section's a bit harder than the first one. You got more enemies flying at you. Some of them fire projectiles which you've got to shoot down as well. Overall though, this isn't that difficult. Level 4 is pretty much the same as level 3, so I'm not really going to show any of it. So this time the gallery shooter takes place in an electronics store. It's pretty much the same deal with level 5 as well, so I'm going to skip that as well. Just going to show you where I lost my first life. This game gives you 3 extra credits, and I used all of them on this playthrough. We're going to pick things back up now towards the end of level 6, just before the second boss fight. As you can see, it's the same boss as before, but a different colour now. This actually resembles more towards what the arcade version of the boss is like. In the arcade it's got 3 forms, but here we only fight the first and the third one, which is good because I hate the second form. We just defeat this one in the same way as before. Backwards and forwards, shooting it around the back, shooting it around the front. Eventually it'll die. Once you've defeated the first form, the final form will drop down from the sky rather than transforming like in the arcade version. You beat this in a similar fashion to the first form, just hit and run. The trick is to time it right in between the enemy attacks, so you don't get hit. Of course it's very hard to time it, so you will take a couple of hits probably. Eventually it'll die and drop some energy pickups for you. And then the UFO reappears. And that's our goal for the next level. So here we chase after the UFO. It disappears for a while, leaving us with some aliens to take care of. We'll be back in a minute. So the UFO reappears and drops these rolling mines at you. Easy enough to avoid though. So it'll drop down low and that's when you can start shooting it, and eventually pieces of it will start falling off. Now at this point I really wish I had auto fire because I'm mashing the control like crazy. Doesn't take long to take down though. Eventually it skids off into the distance and you chase after it. And that's where we get mission 7. So the goal of level 7 is to get to the UFO that's at the end of this road and then destroy it. And can you guess how we destroy it? That's right, a gallery shooter. So we have to fight through all the different waves of enemies. There's quite a lot on this stage. It's a lot more difficult than the previous levels. And by the time you get to the UFO itself, it's throwing everything it's got at you. You see pretty much every enemy type you've encountered so far. Usually the harder versions as well. Okay, and here's where I lose the next life. Not a bad place to lose it, to be honest. Right near the end of the stage. That's a really hard wave there that I just skipped by going straight into the UFO. So then we have the same gallery shooter type business as usual. A bit harder now, obviously. A couple of health pickups there, I could have done with those a few minutes ago. Health is really rare in this game. So eventually you'll get through that and walk back outside, and then oh no! You've been swallowed by the big alien mothership. It's time for the final battle. The last level takes place inside the guts of the alien spaceship. Not as much scrolling on this level as there are in the previous levels. You just got to fight off wave after wave of these guys to start off with. I think this is the hardest variant of the tentacled fellas. So you've got to fight your way through 3 or 4 waves of these. And eventually it'll take you to a tunnel. So I picked the left-hand passage and it took me to a gallery shooter. Lots of these little spiky fellas like from the first level. I take quite a few hits in this one actually, but I'm not really that bothered. I've got a lot of health. It's energy that's more my concern at this point. Luckily this stage is a good way to pick up extra energy. Of course, we've got a new enemy type down the bottom there as well. Funny little kangaroo guys that jump around and spit things at you. We'll see more of those soon. And eventually the game will decide you've done enough, let you go again. So it's given me a few more tunnels. I just picked the left-hand side one again. And it's brought me out into a room full of more of these little kangaroo guys. These guys are really, really annoying. I'm glad they only appear in the last level. So just like before, you've got to get yourself through 3 or 4 waves of them. Now it's here that I lost another life, so I'm down to my last one now. Now at this point I really wasn't sure I was going to finish the game, so I'm just spamming the nuclear bombs and going at it for all I'm worth. And finally you make it through all of them and you get more tunnels to pick from. So I just went left again, and here it is. This is the final battle. And this is pretty intense in single player. You know, you get hit, you do take a lot of damage. You need to go in here with quite a bit of health. Or be very good. I chose the first option. So you've got to shoot the brain in between fending off all the other enemies. That's your final goal, is to destroy that big brain. And eventually, after a while, and a lot of health, the brain will explode. And there we go, you have destroyed the alien mothership. Now, in what is fast becoming a tradition of this series, of endings not displaying correctly, you should be able to see the alien busters floating down to Earth in a 2001 style bubble. But I'm guessing because it was flickering on screen, Fraps hasn't captured it, much like it didn't do for the character select screen. So I guess in this version of the game, it looks like I died in the explosion. And on that note, that is the end of Alien Storm, and the end of this video. If you've watched this far, thank you for your perseverance, and I hope you'll stick around for the next video in the series. I'm going to leave you now with the credits. I didn't want to talk over them, because, well, you'll see why.